You will have 4 submissions this week. First, you will submit your completed draft for peer review. The Writing Project 1 should have an abstract, a body, a conclusion, and a references page. All of those parts should be there. It can be quite messy, things you want to fix and perfect and so forth, but all of those parts should be there. So you will submit your draft for peer review by 9 p.m. on Tuesday, and you will submit that same draft for similarity check on Tuesday. And then for Thursday, you will write your responses to each of your group members. You're going to read their drafts and complete peer review. And then for Friday, you will revise your Writing Project 1 and submit it for grading. Okay, so let's look at the peer review here. Peer review for Writing Project 1. So by 9 p.m. Tuesday, please copy and paste your Writing Project 1 draft here. The text box is going to mess up your formatting. That's okay. This is not going to be a check for formatting, so you won't need to discuss it. You just respond to the questions down here. The peer reviews are going to be graded. The drafts are not going to be graded, only the peer reviews. Posting a completed draft makes you eligible to earn peer review points. Obviously, if you submit a draft that is only partially done, doesn't have a references page, is missing a body, and so forth, or has no conclusion to speak of, it's going to be extremely difficult for your peers to comment on your paper, so you'll be wasting their time, actually. So you can't get points for peer reviewing other people's drafts if you didn't give them anything decent to draft themselves. So let's make sure that what you submit is, content-wise at least, pretty much done. And then, of course, by Thursday, you are to have read your group's drafts, and you are to have read the peer review questions down below that I will go over. And you are to have written a thoughtful, collegial, and critical peer review for each of your group members. Okay. Content of drafts. Drafts are to be of a definition and description of a procedure or a piece of equipment currently in use by your organization. The purpose of this draft is to explain to people in your organization the function of the tool or the procedure, how it is used in your organization. Second, how to identify and visualize it working. Okay, your description needs to do some work here. And third, to make a recommendation about the safety of using this piece of equipment or procedure. Your selection of definition and descriptive language should not only give readers a clear image and understanding of the item, but also lead them well to understanding why the item is or is not safe on the job. Drafts should be complete but messy. They should include the abstract, body, conclusion, and references page, and have every appearance of being at least 80% done, other than, fixing comma splices and reorganizing paragraphs and that sort of thing. Content-wise, should be pretty much done. Peer review questions. Your answers to the questions below are meant to help you explain to the authors what strengths and weaknesses you see in the drafts. So you're addressing them, okay? You're talking about their work. And the questions have to do with the parts, using ABC, definition, description, paragraph organization, tone, reasoning, and citations. So, number 1 is simply this. The draft should have abstract, body, conclusion, and references list. Are they all there? Yes or no, right? If something's missing, say what it is. 2, ABC. Please discuss the overall organization of your partner's draft. Is each part A, B, C, and references page represented? Does each part satisfy requirements for the function it should provide? And I make this note because long and repetitive conclusions are taught somewhere in the world and they should not be. So, please note that a conclusion is rarely supposed to summarize a document that's under 30 pages long. Think about it. When the reader gets to the end of a 5-page paper, they will not have forgotten what you talked about. But 30 pages, 150 pages, sure. Then you can summarize what you talked about. Conclusions to a doctoral dissertation or a book. Summarize each chapter very briefly to help the reader remember this long and complex thing that they have just read. However, for short documents, a conclusion should highlight the significance of the document, honing in on its importance for readers. A good conclusion may be 3 sentences long, while a bad conclusion may take up half a page. Okay, enough said. Definition. As a reader, please be or pretend to be a reading audience whose expertise is outside of your partner's field. And having done that, please explain why you think that your partner's definition speaks to or does not speak to readers out of field. Would it be easy for, I don't know, a restaurateur to understand what you are saying about construction, for example? B, please explain how you think your partner's definition provides or does not provide all the information necessary for readers to draw conclusions about safety concerns. Please explain how you think your partner's definition is as simple as it can be, or could it be simpler? Sometimes the definition might be repetitive or explain things in 2 or 3 different ways, and maybe one of the ways is less successful than the other ways. Anyhow, can you help your partner simplify that? Or can you help your partner expand where necessary so that readers understand? Description. Again, as a reader, please be or pretend to be a reading audience whose expertise is outside of your partner's field. Please explain why you think your partner's description meets the needs of readers while also being simple. So it's a pretty similar question to the top. We're talking about the coverage of the definition, the coverage of the description. Does it hit all the marks and also at the same time stay sharp and memorable and easy to understand? And please explain why you think that your partner's description is or is not. Is the description accurate and is it objective? And then, of course, paragraph organization. You'll remember we worked on that a couple of weeks ago. Please comment on the paragraph organization. Do you find that the paragraphs are top-down, as explained in your textbook and as you practiced in the homework? Are any of the paragraphs not top-down? Do you think that they should be? So discuss that a bit. And 6 is tone. What about the tone seems appropriate for the business at hand? What about the tone seems inappropriate? Do you note any inconsistencies in tone? Please note what is done well and suggest improvements. Reasoning. Again, remember the purpose is that we're supposed to be addressing a safety concern. So review the claims made about the device or the procedure under discussion. About its safety or not being safe. Consider the type of item being discussed. If you had been the one to request this safety report, what concerns would you have? Please suggest other concerns that your group member might not have considered or might have considered. Please review the sources and evidence being offered. Do you think that the research is thorough enough to warrant the claims made in the paper? Are the sources offered high value? Does the safety report convey trustworthiness and a lack of bias? And finally, citations. Very simply, whatever is on the references page, whatever sources are listed there, they should also be cited in text. And of course, the reverse is also true. Whatever is cited in text needs to be on the references page. So simply, do these citations match? And of course, APA style prefers summaries and paraphrases of sources to quotations. If there are any quotations in the document, they should be very short, no more than a sentence, preferably just a phrase or 2. Borrowings of direct speech from a source should be in quotation marks. So, are the sources appropriately summarized, paraphrased, and quoted as they should be? And finally, as this is a document to be shared on paper, there should not be any hyperlinks in it. And URLs should never appear in text. Never. They serve no purpose in text. The only place that URLs should be is on the references page, right, at the end of the citation as part of the documentation there. You don't want these nasty little buggers in the middle of your document. You want your document to be clean and readable. Are there any hyperlinks or URLs where they are not supposed to be? So just state. And you know, obviously I've set this up so that you can use it as a checklist for yourself, but the true benefit of peer review, it's true that it's nice to get feedback from other students. It's extremely helpful and it can key you in on something about your draft that you had not noticed yourself. But the other marvelous thing about peer review is that if you read someone else's draft, it's really easy to make determinations about what seems to be high quality and what seems to be spotty, and what you would want to improve. It's a lot easier to see these problems when someone else wrote it than it is to see it when you wrote it. So the practice of peer review, of using these questions on someone else's work, is going to make you a better writer, and it's going to help you clean up your own work. And I want to say thank you for your work this week. Peer reviews are a very important part of any writing class. I appreciate your time and thoughtfulness in preparing your full draft for your peers to read, and also in responding to your group members' work. This is really nice stuff to be doing, and it is time consuming, I know, and so thank you. Much appreciated.